we're joined from Cairo by Al-Ahram managing editor, Mr. Mohammed Izzeddin. Welcome to Q News. Let me start by asking you, how do you view Egypt's efforts to ensure the continuation of the ceasefire in the Gaza Strip?
Thank you so much for having me on Q News. Certainly, Egypt is carrying out a very important role supporting the continuation of the ceasefire agreement and transforming it into a permanent peace process and starting the second phase of the reconstruction and deploying the stability forces and dealing normally to remove the rubbles of 2 years of destruction to rebuild the entire Gaza Strip. There are a lot of efforts exerted by Egypt, and this is evident in the President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi's statements and his communications with world leaders, stressing even today the keenness on continuing the ceasefire agreement and starting the reconstruction process.
And sir, how do you view Israel's approval for Hamas members and the Red Cross to enter the Yellow Zone to search for detainees?
Certainly, this is one of the main aspects of the Egyptian pressures on Israel and reaching an understanding as a key partner to the peace process, especially to the Palestinian cause. Entering the equipment and the Egyptian technical team is a main request for the Palestinian resistance because they are fully aware of the Egyptian role in the mediation process and doing whatever possible for the stability of the situation in Gaza and starting the next phases of the ceasefire agreement and transforming it to a complete, comprehensive developmental peace process as agreed on in the Trump plan. There are a lot of Egyptian efforts and the Egyptian experts and equipment are now being entered and continually looking for the remains of the Israeli detainees and also paving the roads for the reconstruction process to take place.
So could we see any upcoming violations of the ceasefire from Gaza?
Definitely, it's an Israeli habit. The Israeli army is known for violating agreements, but there is a certain line that cannot be crossed, which is the full return of war due to the US pressures and the efforts exerted by the mediators, Egypt and the other friendly and sisterly countries. Also the growing international pressures and the isolations the Israeli system is suffering from, which is completely reflected on the Israeli citizens. So it is expected for some violations to be seen, but, or some attempts to postpone or delay the process and the non-withdrawal from certain areas that were occupied by the Israeli army.
When could the Gaza agreement move into its second phase? Sir, I was asking you if you could hear me. When could the Gaza agreement move into its second phase?
I think the humanitarian aid entry meeting the needs of the nutrition needs and also the housing equipment that Israel is still hindering and they alleging that they are being used for other purposes. It is also highly important to have forces formed to ensure the stability and security on the Palestinian land in the Gaza Strip, as some outlaws are not paying a lot of attention to the agreement and are making benefits from the continuation of the aggressions. Um, there must be a organized technocrat organization, and for the Palestinian Authority to cooperate with the stability forces and to have a definition of this force, whether it's going to be an international force or under the supervision of the United Nations. It is highly important to have these points set, and there must be a decision from the Security Council to form such force so that we do not see more violations from the Israeli army.
Could Netanyahu work to undermine the agreement in the coming period after receiving all the remains of the detainees? Sir, do you expect Netanyahu to work to undermine the agreement in the coming period after receiving all the remains of the detainees?
They are certainly trying to delay the agreement and trying to hinder what has been agreed upon through the Israeli side and the current government. The far-right officials are pressuring the prime minister, which is actually benefiting Netanyahu himself, because he will remain in office for a longer time, even in the case of early election. So consequently, the continuation of violations and not heading to the second phase pertaining to reconstruction and rebuilding, that requires a lot of pressures and efforts from the international community and persistence from the US administration, which is now fearing the Israeli violation to the ceasefire. As we have seen in the past few days, the US Vice President and the foreign and the State Department and the Chief of Staff are heading to Israel to discuss the political aspect to the government and to the Prime Minister position, and to follow up what has been agreed upon in the Civil Military Council, which will have a great role governing the Strip in the upcoming period in cooperation with the Palestinian Authority.
Well, that was Mr. Mohammed Izzeddin from Cairo. He's Al-Ahram managing editor. Thank you so much for joining us here on Q News.